What if the very thing you think makes you likable, your eagerness to please, your instinct to smooth over conflict, the way you let every comment ruffle you, is actually the silent leash that keeps you from wielding real authority? Imagine standing in a room where every word you speak lands like a stone in still water, where people hesitate before challenging you, not because you shout, but because your presence carries an unshakable weight. This is not a fantasy born of bravado. It is a deliberate reconstruction, an awakening that strips away the reflexive need for approval and replaces it with a calculated, almost crystalline sovereignty over your own impulses. By the time the next 10 minutes unfold, you will have been handed 7 ancient tactics drawn from Machiavellian statecraft, Jungian shadow work, and Stoic discipline, each forged to turn indifference into an unquestionable command that others feel before they can name it. The first shift begins where most of us lose ground, the habit of seeking validation. We laugh at jokes we don't find funny. We nod when we disagree. We apologize for occupying space. The trap here is the belief that approval equals safety, that by mirroring others' expectations, we shield ourselves from rejection. The strategy is to invert that equation. Practice deliberate micro-rejections. When a colleague offers a compliment you know is perfunctory, let your gaze linger a beat longer than polite, then respond with a measured, "Thank you, I'll consider that." You are not being rude. You are signaling that your self-worth is not a commodity to be traded. The result is a subtle recalibration of social power. People begin to sense that your agreement is earned, not given, and they start to weigh their words before speaking to you. Second, we fall into the reflex of emotional reactivity. A harsh email, a dismissive tone, a sudden criticism, our bodies flare, our minds race to defend or retaliate. The trap is identifying with the feeling as if it were truth, letting the surge dictate our next move. The strategy draws from the Stoic concept of apatheia, not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of its interval. When provoked, insert a prescribed pause, count to 7, feel the breath fill your lungs, note the sensation without naming it. In that gap, ask yourself, what outcome serves my long-term position? Then choose a response that aligns with that outcome, even if it feels counterintuitive in the moment. The result is an aura of unbreakable composure. Others learn that your provoking yields no gratification, only a calm that masks a mind already several steps ahead. Third, many of us over-explain. We justify decisions. We offer reasons before being asked. We fear silence will be read as ignorance. The trap is the belief that transparency builds trust, while in fact it often leaks our reasoning to those who would use it against us. The strategy, inspired by Machiavelli's counsel to keep plans opaque, is to adopt calculated brevity. State your decision plainly. We will proceed with option B, and if pressed, offer only the minimal justification necessary to maintain legitimacy, reserving the deeper rationale for your inner counsel. The result is a perception of decisive authority. People fill the silence with their own assumptions, often attributing greater wisdom to you than you have explicitly shown. Fifth, many fall prey to the desire to be liked by avoiding confrontation, letting disagreements fester beneath the surface. The trap is confusing peace with passivity, allowing resentment to accumulate until it erupts unpredictably. The strategy employs Jung's shadow work. Recognize the parts of yourself that crave dominance, that enjoy the sting of conflict, and integrate them consciously rather than suppressing them.
When a disagreement arises, instead of smoothing it over, name the underlying tension with calm precision. I notice we have differing assumptions about the timeline. Let's surface them now. By bringing the shadow into the light, you transform potential sabotage into a transparent negotiation. The result is respect earned through fearless honesty. People learn that confronting you leads to clarity, not cruelty, and they begin to seek your counsel before conflicts escalate. Sixth, we often overinvest in relationships, spreading our emotional capital thin in hopes of building a safety net. The trap is the belief that quantity of connections equals security, which dilutes our influence and makes us vulnerable to manipulation by those who know how to exploit our need for belonging. The strategy, taken from Stoic prudence, is to cultivate a small circle of intellectual comrades, individuals whose counsel challenge you, whose loyalty is earned through mutual respect, not flattery. Limit your social engagements to those that either advance your strategic goals or refine your judgment. The result is a concentrated network where each bond carries weight. Your endorsements become potent signals, and your absence is felt as a meaningful loss rather than a negligible omission. Seventh, and perhaps most insidious, is the tendency to let our self-narrative be written by others, internalizing labels like nice guy, team player, or pushover, and then behaving to confirm them. The trap is the unconscious adoption of a script that serves external expectations rather than your own ascendancy. The strategy is to author a personal codex of authority, a set of non-negotiable principles that dictate how you respond to power tests, written in the language of ruthless clarity. For example, I will not apologize for protecting my boundaries. I will reward competence, not loyalty alone. I will speak only when my words shift the balance. Review this codex regularly, let it govern your decisions, and revise it only after deliberate reflection. The result is an internal gyroscope that keeps you aligned with your perceived authority, making your behavior predictable to you and enigmatic to others. As these 7 tactics interlock, they forge a persona that is both cold-blooded and profoundly wise, a strategist who moves like a shadow across the chessboard of human interaction, unseen until the moment the king is in check. You will notice a shift in how people address you. Titles become honorifics, requests become pleas for your favor, and your silence commands more attention than any eloquent speech. Remember, the power you cultivate is not a license for tyranny. It is a responsibility to wield influence with foresight. Let the knowledge you have gained sit quietly in your mind, like a blade sheathed, ready but not brandished unless the situation demands it. When you step back into the world, do so with the awareness that true authority is felt, not announced, and that the most formidable force is the one that remains restrained, waiting for the precise instant when indifference becomes the very instrument of unquestionable command.